Hi guys, I'm back. Today I'm going to Leviticus 1-6, Proverbs 14, and Psalm 107. Let's get started. The Lord called Moses and spoke to him from the tent of meeting, saying, Speak to the people of Israel and say to them, when any one of you brings an offering to the Lord, he shall bring an offering of livestock from the herd or from the flock. If his offering is a burnt offering from the herd, he shall offer a male without blemish, and he shall bring it to the entrance of the tent of meeting, that he may be accepted before the Lord. He shall lay his hand on the head of the burnt offering, and it shall be accepted for him to make atonement for him. And he shall kill the bull before the Lord, and Aaron's sons, the priests, shall bring the blood and throw the blood against the side of the altar that is at the entrance of the tent of meeting. Then he shall lay the burnt offering and cut it into pieces, and the sons of Aaron, the priest, shall put fire on the altar and arrange wood on the fire. And Aaron's sons, the priest, shall arrange the pieces, the head and the fat, on the wood that is on the fire on the altar, and its entrails and its legs he shall wash with water. And the priest shall burn all of it on the altar as a burnt offering, a food offering with a pleasing aroma to the Lord. And if his gift for a burnt offering is from the flock, from the sheep or goats, he shall bring a male without blemish, and he shall kill it on the north side of the altar before the Lord. And Aaron's sons, the priest, shall throw its blood against the sides of the altar, and he shall cut it into pieces with its head and its fat. And the priest shall arrange them on the wood that is on the fire on the altar, but the entrails and the leg he shall wash with water. And the priest shall offer all of it and burn it on the altar. It is a burnt offering, a food offering, with a pleasing aroma to the Lord. If his offering to the Lord is a burnt offering of birds, then he shall bring an offering of turtle doves or pigeons, and the priest shall bring it to the altar and wring off its head and burn it on the altar. Its blood shall be drained out on the side of the altar. He shall remove its claw with its contents and cast it beside the altar on the east side. In the place for ashes, he shall tear it open by its wings, and it shall not sever it completely. And the priest shall burn it on the altar, and the wood that is on the fire is a burnt offering, a food offering with a pleasing aroma to the Lord. When anyone brings a grain offering as an offering to the Lord, his offering shall be of fine flour. He shall pour oil on it and put frankincense on it, and bring it to Aaron's sons, the priests. And he shall take from it a handful of fine flour and oil, with all of its frankincense. And the priest shall burn this as its memorial portion on the altar, a food offering with a pleasing aroma to the Lord. The rest of the grain offering shall be for Aaron and his sons. It is a most holy and part of the Lord's food offerings. When you bring a grain offering baked in the oven as an offering, it shall be unleavened loaves of fine flour mixed with oil, or unleavened wafers made with oil. And if your offering is a grain offering baked on a griddle, it shall be a fine flour unleavened. You shall break it in pieces and pour oil on it. It is a grain offering. And if your offering is a grain offering cooked in a pan, it shall be a fine flour with oil. And you shall bring the grain offering that is made of these things to the Lord. And when it is presented to the priest, he shall bring it to the altar, and the priest shall take from the grain offering its memorial portion, and burn this on the altar, a food offering with a pleasing aroma to the Lord. But the rest of the grain offering shall be for Aaron and his sons. It is a most holy part of the Lord's food offering. No grain offering that you bring to the Lord shall be made with leaven, for you shall burn no leaven, nor any honey, or as a food offering to the Lord. And as an offering of first fruits you may bring them to the Lord, that they shall not be offered on the altar for a pleasing aroma. And you shall season all your grain offerings with salt. You shall not let the salt of the covenant with your God be missing from your grain offering. With all your offerings you shall offer salt. If you offer a grain offering of first fruits to the Lord, you shall offer for the grain offering of your first fruits fresh ears, roasted with fire, crushed new grain. And you shall put oil on it and lay frankincense on it. It is a grain offering. And the priest shall burn as its memorial portion some of the crushed grain and some oil with all of its frankincense. It is a food offering to the Lord. If his offering is a sacrifice of peace offering, if he offers an animal from the herd, male or female, and he shall offer it without blemish before the Lord, and he shall lay his hand on the head of his offering and kill it at the entrance of the tent of meeting. And Aaron's sons, the priest, shall throw the blood against the sides of the altar. And from the sacrifice, from the sacrifice of the peace offering, as a food offering to the Lord, he shall offer the fat covering the entrails, and all the fat that is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys with the fat that is at the loins, and the long lobe of the liver that he shall remove with the kidneys. Then Aaron's son shall burn on the altar on top of the burnt offering, which is on the wood of the fire. It is a food offering with a pleasing aroma to the Lord. If his offering is for a sacrifice of peace offering to the Lord, as it is is an animal from the flock, male or female, he shall offer it without blemish. If he offers a lamb for his offering, now he shall offer it before the Lord. Lay his hand on the head of his offering, and kill it in front of the tent of meeting. And Aaron's son shall throw its blood against the side of the altar. And from the sacrifice of the peace offering, he shall offer as a free offering to the Lord its fat. He shall remove the whole fat tail, cut it off close to the backbone, and the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat that is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys with the fat that is on them, at the loins, and the long lobe of the liver that he shall remove with the kidneys. And the priest shall burn it on the altar as a free offering to the Lord. If his offering is a goat, then he shall offer it before the Lord, and lay his hand on its head, and kill it in front of the tent meeting. And the sons of Aaron shall throw its blood against the sides of the altar. He shall offer from it as his offering for a free offering to the Lord. The fat covering the entrails, and all the fat that is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys with the fat that is on them at the loins, and the long lobe of the liver that he shall remove with the kidneys. And the priest shall burn them on the altar as a food offering with a pleasing aroma. All fat is the Lord. There shall be a statute forever through your generation. In all your dwelling place you shall eat neither fat nor blood. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the people of Israel, saying, If anyone sins unintentionally in any of the Lord's commandments, about things not to be done, and does any one of them, it is the anointed priest who sins, thus bringing guilt on the people. And he shall offer for the sin that he has committed a bull from the herd without blemish to the Lord for a sin offering. And he shall bring the bull to the entrance of the tent of meeting before the Lord, and lay his hand on the head of the bull, and kill the bull before the Lord. And the anointed priest shall take some of the blood of the bull, and bring it into the tent of meeting. And the priest shall dip his finger in the blood, and sprinkle upon it of the blood 7 times over the Lord in front of the veil of the sanctuary. And the priest shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar of fragrant incense, and for the Lord that is in the tent of meeting. And all the rest of the blood of the bull he shall pour out at the base of the altar of burnt offering, that is at the entrance of the tent of meeting. And all the fat of the bull of the sin offering he shall remove from it, the fat of meeting, and all the fat of the bull that is of the sin offering he shall remove from it, the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat that is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys with the fat that is on at the loin, and the long lobe of the liver that he shall remove with the kidneys. And there he shall burn them on the altar of burnt offering, at the skin of the bull, and all its flesh, with its head, its legs, its entrails, and its tongue. All the rest of the bull he shall carry outside the camp to a clean place, to the ash heap, and shall burn it up on a fire of wood. On the ash heap he shall be burned up. If the whole congregation of Israel has unintentionally and it sins unintentionally, and the thing is hidden from the eyes of the assembly, and they do any one of the things that by the Lord's commandments ought not to be done, and they realize their guilt, then the sin which they have committed becomes known, the assembly shall offer a bull from the herd for a sin offering, and bring it in front of the tent of meeting. And the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands on the head of the bull before the Lord, and the bull shall be killed before the Lord. And the anointed priest shall bring some of the blood of the bull into the tent of meeting. And the priest shall dip his finger in the blood, and sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord in front of the veil. He shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar that is in the tent of meeting, and before the Lord, and the rest of the blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar of burnt offering, and is at the entrance of the tent of meeting. And all his fat he shall take from it, and burn it on the altar. Thus shall he do with the bull, as he did with the bull of the sin offering. So shall he do with this. And the priest shall make atonement for them, and they shall be forgiven. And this he shall carry the bull outside the camp, and burn it out as he burned the first bull. It is the first sin offering for the assembly. When a leader sins, doing unintentionally any one of the things that by the commandments of the Lord our God ought not to be done, and realizes his guilt, or the sin which he has committed is made known to him, and he shall bring his offering a goat, a male without blemish, and he shall lay his hand on the head of the goat, and kill it in the place where they kill the burnt offering with the Lord as a sin offering. And the priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and pour out the rest of its blood at the base of the altar of burnt offering. All its fat he shall burn on the altar, as the fat of the sacrifice of peace offerings. The priest shall make atonement for him for his sin, and he shall be forgiven. If anyone of the common people sins unintentionally and doing any one of the things that by the Lord's commandments ought not to be done, and realizes his guilt, or the sin which he has committed, is made known to him. He shall bring his offering a goat, a female without blemish, for a sin which he has committed. And he shall lay his hand on the head of the sin offering, and kill the sin offering in the place of the burnt offering. And the priest shall take some of its blood with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and pour out all the rest of its blood at the base of the altar. And all its fat he shall remove, first the fat is to burn the offering. And the priest shall burn it on the altar for a pollution aroma to the Lord. And the priest shall make atonement for him, and he shall be forgiven. If he brings a lamb and as an offering for a sin offering, he shall bring a female without blemish, and lay his hand on the head of the sin offering, and kill it for a sin offering in the place where they kill the burnt offering. And the priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and put on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and pour out all the rest of its blood at the base of the altar. And all its fat he shall remove, first the fat of the lamb that is removed from the sacrifice of peace offering. Then the priest shall burn it on the altar, on top of the Lord's food offering. And the priest shall make atonement for him for the sin which he has committed, and he shall be forgiven. If any sin when he hears a public adjuration to testify, and though he is a witness, wherever he is seen or come to know the matter, yet does not speak, he shall bear his iniquity. Or if anyone touches an unclean thing, whether a carcass or an unclean wild animal, or a carcass of unclean livestock, or a carcass of unclean swarming things, and it is him from him, and he has become unclean, and he realizes his guilt, or if he touches human uncleanness, or whatever sort the uncleanness may be, which one becomes unclean, and it is hidden from him, and he comes to Noah, and he realizes his guilt, or if anyone has with his lips a rash oath to do evil, or to do good, any sort of rash oath that people swear, and it is hidden from him, and then he comes to Noah, and he realizes his guilt in any of these. When he realizes his guilt in any of these, he confesses the sin he has committed. He shall bring to the Lord as his compensation for the sin that he has committed, a female from the flock, a lamb or a goat, for a sin offering, and the priest shall make atonement for him for a sin. But if he cannot afford a lamb, then he shall bring to the Lord as compensation for the sin that he has committed 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons, one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. He shall bring them to the priest, who shall offer first the one for the sin offering. He shall bring its head from its neck, and it shall not sever it completely. And he shall sprinkle some of the blood of the sin offering on the side of the altar, while the rest of the blood shall be drained out at the base of the altar. It is a sin offering. Then he shall offer the second for a burnt offering according to the rule. And the priest shall make atonement for him for the sin that he has committed, and he shall be forgiven. But if he cannot afford 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons, then he shall bring as his offering for the sin that he has committed a 10th of an ephah of fine flour for the sin offering. He shall put no oil on it, and put no frankincense on it. It is a sin offering, and he shall bring it to the priest, and the priest shall take a handful of it as its memorial portion, and burn it on the altar. On the Lord's food offerings is a sin offering. Thus the priest shall make atonement for him for the sin which he has committed in any one of these things, and he shall be forgiven, and the remainder shall be for the priest, as in the grain offering. Now the Lord spake to Moses, saying, if anyone commits a breach of faith, and sins unintentionally in any of the holy things of the Lord, he shall bring to the Lord as his compensation a ram without blemish out of the flock, valued in silver shekels, according to the shekel of the sanctuary, for a guilt offering. He shall also make restitution for what he has done amidst the holy thing, and shall add a fifth to it, and give it to the priest. And the priest shall make atonement for him with the ram of the guilt offering, and he shall be forgiven. And if anyone sins doing any of the things but by the Lord's commandments ought not to be done, and though he did not know, then realizes his guilt, he shall bear his iniquity. He shall bring to the priest a ram without blemish out of the flock, or its equivalent, for a guilt offering, and the priest shall make atonement for him for the mistake that he made unintentionally, and shall be forgiven. It is a guilt offering. He is indeed incurred guilt before the Lord. And the Lord said to Moses, if anyone sins and commits a breach of faith against the Lord by deceiving his neighbor in a matter of deposit, or security, or through robbery, or if he has oppressed his neighbor, or has found something lost and lied about it, swearing falsely, or in any other things that people do, and sin thereby, If he has sinned and realized his guilt and will restore what he took by robbery or what he got by oppression, or the deposit that was committed to him, or the lost thing that he found, or anything about which he sworn falsely, he shall restore it in full and add a fifth to it, and give it to him to whom it belongs on the day he realizes his guilt. And he shall bring to the priest as his compensation to the Lord a ram without blemish out of the flock for his equivalent, a regular offering, and the priest shall make atonement for him before the Lord. And he shall be forgiven for any of the things that one may do, and thereby become guilty. And the Lord said to Moses, command Aaron and his sons, saying, this is the Lord the burnt offering. The burnt offering shall be on the hearth on the altar all night until the morning, and the fire of the altar shall be kept burning on it. And the priest shall put on his linen garment and put his linen undergarment on his body. He shall take up the ashes to which the fire has reduced the burnt offering on the altar, and put them beside the altar. And he shall take off his garments and put on other garments, and carry the ashes outside the camp to a clean place. The fire on the altar shall be kept burning on it. It shall not go out. The priest shall burn wood on it every morning. And he shall arrange the burnt offering on it, and shall burn on it the fat of the peace offerings. Fire shall be kept burning on the altar continually. It shall not go out. And this is the Lord the grain offering. The sons of Aaron shall offer it before the Lord, and in front of the altar. And one shall take from it a handful of the fine flour of the grain offering, and its oil, and all the frankincense that is on the grain offering, and burn this as its moral portion on the altar. Now placing aroma to the Lord, and the rest of it Aaron and his sons shall eat. It shall be eaten unleavened in a holy place. In the court of the tent of meeting they shall eat it. It shall not be baked with leaven. I have given it as is their portion of my food offerings. It is a thing most holy, like the sin offering and the guilt offering. Every male among the children of Aaron may eat of it, as decreed forever throughout your generations, and the Lord's food offerings. And now, whatever touches them shall become holy. And the Lord spake to Moses, saying, this is the offering that Aaron and his sons shall offer to the Lord on the day when he is anointed. A tenth of an ephah of fine flour is a regular grain offering, half of it in the morning and half in the evening. And it shall be made with oil on a griddle. You shall bring it well mixed and bake pieces like a grain offering, and offer it for a pleasing aroma to the Lord. The priest from among Aaron's sons, who is anointed to succeed him, shall offer to the Lord as it decreed forever. And the whole of it shall be burnt. Every grain offering of a priest shall be wholly burnt, and it shall not be eaten. And the Lord spake to Moses, saying, speak to Aaron and to his sons, saying, this is the Lord the sin offering. In the place where the burnt offering is killed shall the sin offering be killed before the Lord. It is most holy. The priest who offers it for sin shall eat it. In a holy place it shall be eaten. In the court of the tent of meeting, whatever touches its flesh shall be holy. And when any of its blood is splashed on a garment, you shall wash that on which it was splashed in a holy place. And the earthenware vessel in which it is boiled shall be broken. But if it is boiled in a bronze vessel, then it shall be scoured and rinsed in water. Every male among the priests may eat of it. It is most holy. But no sin offering shall be eaten from which any blood is brought into the tent of meeting to make atonement for the holy place. It shall be burned up with fire. Proverbs 14. The wisest woman builds a house, but folly with her own hands sits it down. Whoever walks in uprightness fears the Lord. He is devious in his ways despises him. By the mouth of the fool comes a rod for his back. The lips of the wise will preserve them. Where there are no oxen, the manger is clean. Her abundant crops come by the strength of the ox. A faithful witness turns on life, but a false witness breathes out lies. The scoffer seeks wisdom in vain, but knowledge is easy for a man of understanding. Leave the presence of a fool, for they do not need words of knowledge. The wisdom of the prudent is to discern his way. Let the folly of fools is deceiving. Fools mock at the guilt offering, but the upright enjoy its efforts. The heart knows its own bitterness, and no stranger shares its joy. The house of the wicked will be destroyed, but the tent of the upright will flourish. There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way to death. Even in laughter the heart may ache, and the end of joy may be grief. And a backslider in heart will be filled with the fruit of his ways. And a good man will be filled with the fruit of his ways. The simple believes everything, but the prudent gives thought to his steps. One who is wise is cautious and turns away from evil. But a fool is reckless and careless. A man of quick temper acts foolishly, and a man of evil devices is hated. And the simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. The evil bow down before the good. The wicked at the gates of the righteous. The poor is disliked even by his neighbor, but the rich has many friends. Whoever despises his neighbor is a sinner. How blessed is he who is generous to the poor. Do they not go astray who devise evil? Those who devise good meet steadfast love and faithfulness. And not turn to his profit, but mean to turns only to poverty. The crown of the wise is their wealth, and let the crown of folly of fools brings folly. A truthful witness says lies, and one who breathes out lies is deceitful. In the fear of the Lord one has strong confidence, and his children will have a refuge. The fear of the Lord is fountain of life, that one may turn away from the snares of death. In a multitude of people the glory is the glory of a king. And without people, a prince is wrong. Whoever is slow to anger has great understanding, but he who is hasty temper exalts folly. The tranquil heart gives life to the flesh, but envy makes the bones roll. Whoever oppresses a poor man insults his maker, but he who is generous to the needy honors him. The wicked is overthrown through his evil doing, but the righteous finds refuge in his death. Wisdom rests in the heart of a man of understanding. Makes himself known even in the midst of fools. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sinners are a reproach to any people. A servant who deals mildly has the king's favor. His wrath falls on one who acts shamefully. Psalm 107. I give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so, whom he has redeemed from trouble, and gather in from the lands, from the east and from the west, from the north and from the south. Some wander in desert wastes, finding their way into a sea to dwell. Hungry and thirsty, their soul fainted within them. And they cried to the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them from their distress. He led them a straight way, until they reached the sea to dwell in. And let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love, and for his wondrous works for the children of men. He satisfies the longing soul, fills the hungry soul, for he fills with good things. Some sat in darkness and in the shadow of death, some prisoners in affliction and in irons, for they have rebelled against the words of God. He spurned the counsel of the Most High. So he bowed their hearts down with hard labor. They fell down with none to help, and they cried to the Lord in their trouble. And he delivered them out from their distress. He brought them out of darkness and the shadow of death. He burst their bonds apart. Let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love, for his wondrous works to the children of men. For he shatters through the doors of bronze and cuts into the bars of iron. Some are fools through their sinful ways, and because of their iniquity suffered affliction. They loathed any kind of food, and they drew near to the gates of death. And they cried to the Lord in their trouble, and they cried to the Lord in their trouble. And he delivered them from their distress. He sent out his word and healed them, and delivered them from their destruction. Let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love, for his wondrous works to the children of men. And let them offer sacrifices of thanksgiving, and tell of his deeds and songs of joy. Some went down to the sea in ships, and doing business on the great waters. They saw the deeds of the Lord, his wondrous works in the deep, which he commanded and raised the stormy wind, which lifted up the waves of the sea, which they mounted up to heaven. They went down to the depths, and their courage melted away in their evil pride. They reeled and staggered like drunken men, and were at their wits' end. Then they cried to the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them out from their distress. He made the storm be still, and the waves of the sea were hushed. Then they were glad that the waters were quiet, and he brought them to desired haven. And let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love, and for his wondrous works to the children of men. Let them extol him during the congregation of the people, and praise him in the assembly of the elders. He turns rivers into a desert, springs of water into a thirsty ground, and fruitful land into salty waste, because of the evil of his inhabitants. He turns the desert into pools of water, and parched land into streams of water, and there he lets the hungry dwell, and they establish a seed to live in. They sow fields and plant vineyards, and get a fruitful yield. For his blessing they multiply greatly. He does not let their livestock diminish. When they are diminished and brought low through oppression, evil, and sorrow, he pours contempt on princes. He makes them wander in trackless wastes. When he raises up the needy out of affliction, the upright see, and makes their families like flocks. The upright see and are glad, and all wickedness shuts it down. Whoever is wise, let them attend to these things. Let them consider the steadfast love of the Lord. And at the start, I shall now do the Lord's Prayer. Place my hands, our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as you receive from our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. See you tomorrow. Bye.